Hey, and we are live.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. I am first of all going to introduce Sonar IT, who are one of the partners with Director's Choice, and they've kindly agreed to do this webinar with us this morning. So Sonar IT are a young, innovative, I can't say that word, IT support company who educate their clients and help them to use their IT to save money, to save business time and money. So essentially what they do is they don't just provide an IT service to you. They look at the IT infrastructure you've got in place at the moment and tell you how it can work better for you and help you grow your business, and also how to save some money for you. So the seminar is going to help give you a few pointers to look out for in the modern workplace, mainly focusing around cybersecurity, which I'm sure some of you have heard of because of recent events, but some people might not be aware of it. But it is a really important subject within the workplace. And then I'm Samantha Colton from the directorschoice.com. I'm the partnership manager here, and I'll go through later on about the Director's Choice and what we are. But in essence, we are a brand new support platform for business owners. So I'm going to hand you over to Sam Gittins, who is Head of Communications at Sonar IT, and Josh Bevis, who is also founder.
Sam, sorry to interrupt. I've just noticed it says activate Windows on the bottom right of my computer. I don't know if anyone else wants to share their screen instead. That will come up in the webinar. I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can't see that.
Okay, so I've just ruined that for no reason. Sorry.
It's fine.
I just saw it. I panicked. I thought, oh God, if you're an IT company, it says activate Windows. It's going to look.
I can't see it. You're fine.
We've got Windows activated now, so there you go.
It's because I was testing something. That's why.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for the introduction, Sam, as well. It's been great to be part of Director's Choice so far. We've met some wonderful people through you guys. We think it's a really nice community, and we're happy to be speaking to you all today. As you mentioned, I'm Head of Communications here, so I will do all the talking. And the gentleman who is sharing at the stage with me today is our founder, Josh Bevis, who is the one with the brains behind it all. He is the head engineer, someone with years and years of experience in the IT industry, and someone who came up with a very unique way of going about things that has, well, spawned this company. So we'll go through it. So what do you need IT support for? Quite simple. Obviously, you want your business to be connected. If you're working from home at the moment, or you've got people who are hybrid workers, it's more important than ever to make sure you're connected at all times and that you're all on the same system. All being on the same system means that you can streamline your business, which again, super important. I'm sure a lot of you are sat there now with about 30 different tabs open and wouldn't feel a lot of it. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I definitely am.
There you go. You'd feel a little bit easier if you just had everything in one place. That's something that we always try and strive to achieve for our clients. The third one here on the list, preventing a data or security breach, is really important. We're going to go into quite a bit of detail on that today. We read a statistic from Hiscox the other day that about 33% of businesses in the UK, large and small, had a security breach last year. So a third of businesses in the UK, which I know a lot of you probably have really sensitive data and really important data that you need to keep private, not just for you, but for your clients as well. And that's something that we think is hugely important, and all IT support companies should be doing it nowadays. If you have all these things in place, one sort of benefit is that you're going to save time and you're going to save money, because you don't really need to do any of the boring technical stuff yourself. That's something we can do. And last but not least, it's one less thing to worry about, so you can passionately achieve what you need to achieve within your business without worrying about the IT stuff. Moving on. So let's talk about the world's new threat. I won't read that entire sentence to you, but it's there for you to read it. We can send you this presentation afterwards. Essentially, what it is saying is that things have changed. Hackers don't just sort of log into your email and send a dodgy email to all of your contacts now. Often data is being breached without you even realizing. They'll be using your email for years. They'll wait for sensitive information to come up on an email, and then they'll attack. It's unbelievable the amount of people that don't realize that their information is for sale on the dark web. So something that we do as a company is dark web scans, along with educating people on the various ways that you can protect yourself, which of course we will go into. Moving on, please, Josh.
Can I just say, sorry, I've had recently a lot of emails come through saying that I had an invoice that I paid or an invoice that I needed to pay, and it all looks very kosher and, you know, like it's a real invoice. And one of them I did nearly click on, thank goodness I didn't. But when something comes through like that, especially if, you know, you're a business owner and you're doing absolutely everything, you would just think, oh, there's an invoice I need to pay, or someone's paid one of my invoices.
100%. Right. There's actually a company we're speaking to at the moment, and it's actually the people that provide our cyber insurance, or all of our insurance actually. One of their clients did that exact thing, paid the invoice, and they lost £26,000.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I actually Googled it.
Yeah.
Just to check, and it said that, you know, obviously this was something that was happening at the moment. Invoices but you know, when you're a busy business owner and you see something, it's so difficult to know.
No, of course,
you know,
absolutely.
what you should and what you shouldn't click on. So this is why what you're talking about is so important.
It's much more difficult nowadays to kind of spot a fake, which we have a one sheet, a system that we will show you in a moment, that's kind of like, well, we call it email hygiene, but it's kind of like a kind of one-stop guide to sort of seeing whether something's legitimate or not in more detail.
And then, sorry, just to go back to that client that paid the invoice, and it was actually one of their partners that got hacked. So the hacker had hacked one company, sent an invoice to all the clients, sort of did change the bank details. So all the clients, then obviously they were none the wiser, because, you know, everyone gets invoices from their partners, and they transferred the money. And I dread to think how many people transferred, you know, that amount of money over.
Yeah, it's really, and that's the thing. When you're dealing with other businesses and, you know, private clients as well, it's about looking after their data, not just your own.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, once you get breached, then your reputation's on the line as well. It's not just, you know, a bit of money loss. It's your whole business. The name goes out. You email your clients, and you have to then let everyone know you've been breached, and then people start deciding if they still want to work with you or not. It's a horrible snowball effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we look here at the next slide, you'll see what is an example of a dark web scan. So we can see here who's had data breach and who hasn't. I mean, these are actual examples, right, Josh?
Yeah, so we probably need to blur this out, which we'll do at a later date, which is done ahead of time. But this is actually from one of my networking groups. So the company in question here, the lady who owns the business, is a very good friend of mine. And I was in a very similar presentation like this, and I spare at the moment. I thought I'll do a dark web scan just to see who comes in. So the first person that walked in, I went, right, I'm going to do your company. That password at the bottom there, you can only see the first 4 characters. And that was her password for absolutely everything, and that's been on sale since 2021. And this was quite recently. It was only a month ago. So someone could have bought that email address and that password and just log straight in, and that's it. Game over.
Really scary stuff.
Scary, really scary.
Next slide, Joshua. So what can you do to prevent this? There's a load of different ways to prevent this. Some of them are pretty obvious, like getting a good antivirus. Often people, particularly if they've got a Mac or something like that, they just stick to the standard security that it comes with because they feel that's the best one.
Yeah, sorry, it's jumping again. With Mac and iOS, I get this quite a lot as well. There's a very big misconception that you can't get viruses on a MacBook or on your iPhone, but you most definitely can. There's just as many viruses out there, and there is for Windows as well. So yeah, just something to be aware of.
Yeah, that's really true. And most IT companies, this is something that Josh has tried to prevent in the industry since opening Sonar IT, will push you towards their own partners or expensive options. But the best thing they can do for you and should do for you is educate you on what the differences are and what you actually need specifically for your systems. There's multi-factor authentication, which sounds a lot fancier than it is. A little bit like when you're logging into Netflix or something like that, you'll get a message saying new device login or something of that sort. Really easy to set up. Everyone should set it up on all their devices. The problem we seem to have is that people will set it up and go, yeah, I've got that for my email, but they haven't got it for their email on new devices, or they've only got it for certain devices, or they haven't done it for all their accounts or their employees' accounts. Essentially, it's just something that you really need to have activated really quickly, and you just need to make sure that it stays activated on all your new systems as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, passwords are you know, that's just one layer. And what do I always say, Sam? They're a 20th century solution for a 21st century problem. Someone gets your password, they're straight in. If you've got multi-factor authentication, they're going to need your mobile phone. And unless someone's got you at gunpoint and touch with it never happens, it's very unlikely that they'll be able to get through your multi-factor authentication. Although there are tools out there that can bypass it, so it's not 100% secure.
I believe I've also heard you reference the movie Shrek.
I know. I tried not to do it in the webinar just for you, but if you're going to bring it up, let me do it. It's like cybersecurity. I always say it's like an onion, to quote Shrek. And you've got to have multiple layers. You can't just have one or two. You need to go all the way down to the core. And it's like the other saying of your house doesn't have to be the most secure. It just needs to be more secure than your neighbours. Because the way hackers work and cyber criminals work is no one's looking at Sonar IT or Director's Choice and they're thinking, I'm going to try and bully them today. They're doing it with an automated process and they're targeting hundreds of thousands, if not millions, at any time. And it's just if they get a hit, then they start to target you and go through. So if someone gets a hit, like with the dark web screenshot we just saw, if they don't have multi-factor authentication, which that company didn't actually, then they're straight in. So you've got to have these extra layers, and you need to have multi-factor authentication on. You need to have suspicious logins detection on, and again, you've got to have all these layers to make it more and more difficult to get through. Because hackers are lazy. IT guys are all lazy. That's why we automate things. That's why we're good at our job. Bill Gates used to hire the laziest staff because they would find the quickest way to do something. Because we write scripts, we write code, so. A cyber criminal does get into your system, it's all through automation. It's very rare that they're going to sit down and spend their precious time trying to hack into your business.
And I think the point's been proven over the years, hasn't there? And I know it's very few cases, but there's been quite a few cases, and probably mainly in America, where there's been extremely young people who've managed to hack into what you think are extremely secure systems. And not that I'm taking anything away from children, but if a child is capable of doing that, then, imagine what an adult can do with automation software.
No, exactly. And no one ever believes me when I say this, but it's very much true. So the dark web it's kind of like Amazon or eBay, if you will. You can shop around and buy things from, suppliers. There's a tool out there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's got a very good logo. It's, it's highly illegal. It's a raccoon with like a burglar mask on, like an eye patch, whatever you want to call it. And you can buy that. So you don't even need to know how to hack people. You can buy that and it will do everything for you. It will hack people. It will take their cookies and cache, so that will get through multi-factor authentication. So if you have got MFA on, they have a tool out there that will steal all the cache and cookies from your browser and then bypass it and then straight in. So you don't even have to be a hacker. You just need to know how to use the internet nowadays. And again, it's automated. It's actually it's quite terrifying.
Important. It's really, really important, and it kind of brings us really nicely to our last point on this page, is that it's really important that we just have people being educated within the companies. So any company that we work with, whenever we begin working with them, we always come into their office, meet everyone, find out what their roles are, how we can make their lives easier, tell them who we are, and give them all a little bit of education. Because as it says at the bottom of the screen there, about 30% of security breaches come from user error, which makes sense when things are changing all the time and people don't necessarily work in IT or keep themselves up to date with IT or cybersecurity because they're doing other things. They need to realize that the world's moving on around them and they have to stay up to date.
100%.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Oh, that wasn't the last point, Sam.
Go on. Oh, there wasn't the last one. And
there's one more.
That's the bonus one. That's the surprise one. Yeah. So ultimately, an IT MOT, as I've quite cutely called them for the last year or so, or as they're correctly called, network audits, are really, really important. If you're working with an IT department or outsourcing your IT and they haven't done this for you, it means that you're just getting a bog standard service that they serve to everyone. What this basically means is get an IT MOT or a network audit. That means an engineer will go through your systems, tell you where you're vulnerable, tell you where you could be saving money, and tell you how you could be streamlining your business. You'll get a full report on that. There's no obligation usually to sign up after you get the report, because you might look at it and go, I want to take this elsewhere. Certainly the way we do it is we just give you a report and say, look, if you need us, you need us. And often they do. But in any case, when working with anyone, especially small businesses, try and get a network audit done so that you know exactly what you need and what you don't need to be paying for.
Yeah, and then no business is set up the same unless you're a McDonald's maybe, but you need to have a network audit because the kind of protection you require it's individual and it needs to be tailored to suit your needs. So you can't just have an out of box kind of setup. Everyone uses different applications, different platforms, and everyone works differently. So an audit is a very good starting point to find out what your business needs.
Yeah. Okay, the 3 most common ways people are ripped off. This is more on the money front now. Unfortunately, because of the IT world, we do have a lot of companies, especially larger companies, that take smaller businesses and just throw a lot their way that they don't need. So we're going to give you some examples of that. The classic upsell, which is essentially people who are offering you products and services that you don't need. And it's really easy to do this to small companies. It's really easy to do this to companies that are startups or just starting out, because you want to feel secure. You want to feel like everything that you have is going to be pushing you towards success, particularly in those early days. You're really passionate about your business. And it's heartbreaking when you see companies being sold products and services that they just don't need whatsoever, but have been sort of almost fear-mongered into thinking they do, which I'm sure has happened to a lot of people listening today.
Mm-hmm.
Jargon is the main way they do this, to be honest with you. Like anything, it's a bit, I always liken it to a bit like a mechanic when they tell you need your phalange drive changed in the back of your engine belt, and
or you need premium air in the tires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, premium air in the tires. It's just they start using complicated words to make you feel like they know what they're talking about and that you should essentially be purchasing what they're telling you to purchase, or that you need a lot more IT support than you actually do. It's just really, really obvious, and it should be something that people do throughout the industry, but they don't. If someone's talking to you about IT, just tell them to put it into plain English. If they can't put it into plain English, then they can't tell you that you need it.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean it in the nicest way possible. I always explain things to our clients and prospects like they're 5 years old, because that's the way I would like to be spoken. Thank you. Yeah, that's the way I would like to be spoken to if I don't really understand anything. And we've got a client who's a corporate lawyer, and I always say to him, explain it to me like a 5, because I have no idea what you're talking about, and he'll do it, and I slowly pick it up. And that's the best way to learn. You've got to start small, and you need to understand what's going on.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons that the Director's Choice has been born, is to help support business owners so they understand IT, so they can come to one of our partners like you, and you'll speak to them in plain English. I think a lot of people, and this is exactly obviously what this slide is about, is the fact that they know, if you're an accountant, if you're IT, if you're legal, you can baffle people and they don't know what you're talking about, and they just go, okay, I'll pay for it. I mean, the amount of people that sign their accounts off and they don't understand their accounts, because even when they ask their accountant, they don't get explained to in plain English, and they feel silly then because they don't understand, so they just sign them off. And it's the same with any professional service. To build a good relationship with your client, you should be making sure they understand what it is they are doing for the investment that they're giving to you.
Yeah,
no, of course,
absolutely. I think that's that couldn't have said it better, to be fair, Sam. And it's one of those things where if it creates a nicer environment if every organization is doing that with one another. And on that note, yeah, anyone listening to this is more than welcome to get in touch with us, even if they just want a bit of advice or a chat. We're always here. And one thing as well to look out for, add-ons. This point is kind of what Sonar IT was built on. It's often a race to the bottom with pricing for IT support. I mean, you can go and get support for 10, 15 to 20 pound per user for a small company, and you will never be charged that. Every month will be different. Oh, you need to call us for this bit of help. Oh yeah, but we had to work an hour on your computer that day. It's now going to be this much. It's just constant add-ons, constant add-ons, and you end up paying more. What you need to try and do is find a company that includes everything, whether they want a phone call, whether they want someone to come out and fix their computer, whether they want a seminar for their team about a certain new type of software, whatever it is, get it all included in one price, so there's no scary add-ons any month.
And I'm going to really rock the boat here. I don't think I've ever said this on record anyway. But in regards to add-ons, I've worked inside and alongside loads of different IT companies, and I know the business model. So if any IT companies see this, they're definitely going to get very annoyed. But antivirus, web filtering, spam filters, you name it, they cost 50p per person per month for an IT company, and they make probably about 300-400% profit on that. So they'll charge you, £2 or £3 per person per month. And the more they use that service, and the more they roll it out to their clients, the cheaper it gets. So say you start off with 60p per person, you roll out to 100, it's then 50p. The markup gets more and more. We don't do that, which is why I made Sonar IT, because the whole business model itself, I think, is ridiculous. IT companies, they use technical jargon to confuse their clients, and then they throw in the add-ons. They don't really know what they're paying for, and it's silly. So that's why Sonar IT was born. We go the complete opposite way, and we don't really charge for any of that. It's all thrown in within the support services.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool. Moving on, Joshua. Lovely. 3 solutions every business needs. We'll roll straight through them. So, really simple, mobile device management. Whether you've got a work mobile, or I know some organisations just have you use your own mobile, especially startups and things like that. It's fine. It's the way things are nowadays. If you've got a computer in your pocket, you may as well use it to make money. Essentially, they don't often get managed. It's just kind of per user usually means per computer. What it should mean, and if you're looking for an IT company, or you're just looking for a different kind of, I guess, ethos for your IT department in-house, just make sure that they're managing people remotely as well. If someone's got an issue with their email on their phone, get someone on the phone to help them out about it. Centralized management is really important as well, but it's kind of been covered in the previous point, I think, there. Unless there's anything you want to add about centralized management, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, centralized management was essentially having a server, but nowadays, with all the cloud platforms, you can have the benefits of having a server, but without the costs. So, for example, if you're on Microsoft 365 and you've configured it properly, you could be in Asia, you could be in Australia, wherever you are, and your IT company could block USBs, for example, to stop people stealing data. They can remotely wipe your laptop from there. Whereas before you needed to have a very expensive server in-house. And then on top of that, you had to connect to the network to do anything. But obviously with cloud, you can be anywhere now.
Yeah, and that's really important as well for a lot of our clients we've had, and I'm sure we've had some stories like this come through Director's Choice from some of your partners as well, Sam, but there's often cases where people have left companies and taken certain bits of information with them. It happens. This is the jungle after all. We can basically, for a lot of our clients, just wipe someone's anything they have that's company property on their personal phones or devices.
PCs, yeah, absolutely. Any device that is configured on. I mean, we had an incident. I think it was the Friday just gone. Someone, one of our clients, they let someone go, and they were refusing to give the MacBook back. So we had to come in and take all the company data off, wipe it. Obviously, we have a legal process anyway, so we close the account down and whatnot. But it's just that peace of mind to know that all your company data has been secured and is not on that device anymore. Actually, can I just give myself a little brag here as well? We actually had Merseyside Police contact us once because one of our MacBooks that we support was so locked down that the police couldn't even get into it, and they had to ask us for the password. They encrypted and MDM. It was like a bank vault, and I did give them the password in the end. I let them sweat it out for a bit, but yeah, even the police couldn't get into it, which I thought was quite impressive.
So if we ever want to move into the criminal world, we can.
You know which IT company to go to.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I used to work in recruitment, and I know in recruitment that used to happen a lot, where you'd work for one of the big players and then you decide to set up on your own, and obviously what everybody does is you've got your agreement that you're not going to take your clients with you, but everybody does, and so then you shift them over and all that data, and I'll give you my phone back after the weekend, and they spend the weekend frantically
of course
taking all the data, which is what happens in business, but then, you know, business owners need to protect themselves from that happening, because the one thing that you can't control, unfortunately, is people in any way of life.
No, of course.
You know, and especially if they've left with a bitter taste in their mouth, they're obviously going to do everything they can to look after themselves and not look after the business that they've just left.
Yeah. And we in my previous workplace, we used to be a recruitment specialist company. So very kind of similar to your story, but 76% of ex-employees admit to stealing data. So going back to your story, a lot of recruiters, we would catch them out. We're trying to steal data, and obviously, you know, some companies, because the IT company we work that has the normal business model of you've got to pay XYZ for these solutions, and they're throwing it in. Everyone had different setups, so people had different levels of control. So most of the time, I would imagine a lot of people that left got away with it because they didn't have the right tools in place, because they didn't want to pay for it.
I would say so. I said if they weren't able to do that, there would probably be a lot less recruitment companies in the UK.
Yeah, 100%. I've again going back to recruitment. I know someone who stole a server from their old place and had all the data on it.
Wow.
Again, not this isn't with Sonar IT. This is a different lifetime. But yeah, they basically started a business because they just went in, picked up the server, and left.
Wow. Well, that's from one extreme to the other, from someone stealing a server to the police asking you to unlock a computer.
Yeah, I know.
There you go. Yeah, and last but not least on that slide there was just third party. That's all right. No, third party backup, which is essentially, we kind of covered it, but it's having your data stored elsewhere by a third party. So let's say, I don't know, Darren comes in the morning and Darren wipes everyone's computers by accident because he had a heavy evening the night before and his head's a bit thick. Happens. People make mistakes. People make mistakes.
Is there a story there?
No, not from me anyway. I don't know.
No, this has never happened. But no, but listen, anyone can accidentally wipe their systems. We don't know how, but they can. It's just important to make sure that if you do have a device malfunction or something like that, that you can ring someone up and go, oh my God, I've deleted all of our work. And we just go, here it is. And
and on top of that, I'm sure everyone's heard of ransomware, where they get on your computer, encrypt your files, you can't access anything, and then you have to pay them Bitcoin to unlock it. You know, in that situation, you don't really have to pay them, so they can't hold you to ransom. You just get your backup and replace the files, and off you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on top of that as well, sorry, just to add to it, if anyone listening is using Google, Microsoft, or even Dropbox, I guess any cloud platform, your data and your emails are not backed up by default. It's your responsibility to get third-party backup and back those. If you were to get ransomware, or someone's deletes all your files and you don't notice till it's too late, you speak to Microsoft or Google, they will essentially laugh you out the door, and they will not help you because they don't have the backup either. It's obviously they're large companies. I'd imagine they have some sort of backups, but it's not for your use. It's your responsibility, and it's a very, very big misconception that if you're using these platforms that they look after the data for you. They do not. And I've been in that situation many a times where people have thought that, and I've gone to Microsoft or Google, and they've essentially just told me to go away, and they're not going to help.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so a little bit of advice, just click straight through there, Josh. I'll jump straight into these. We've kind of just gone through this already, but these are just 3 simple rules to kind of go through with here. Essentially going through a network audit, which is what we mentioned earlier, just make sure you know what you need, get someone to check your systems and figure out what it is that you actually should be paying.
Find the gaps. There's always gaps in the security all the time.
Don't just pay for minimum coverage. Again, a lot of the industry is race to the bottom. Make sure you've got everything you need and you're paying for that, and you're not going to get any extras every month. And do a trial with whichever company you work with. We always do kind of a month free here. For some reason, IT contracts are usually about 2 years long, which is fine. It's something that they need for their companies. But that doesn't mean that you should be stuck with someone for 2 years. Do a month with them first. Make sure you get a month free trial or just a month's trial before entering the contract. That way you can really decide whether they're right for you and whether they're suited to your company environment.
Yeah, 100%. And also, just to go back to point 2, there's a client we're speaking, a potential client that we're speaking to, and the other IT company who quoted on support They've charged £15 per PC per month. I don't know how that's I think that's £75 a month. There's 5 of them. I don't know how they're going to make any profit on that. I don't know how they're even a running business if they charge that low, because I don't know how they pay their staff and all the expenses. But on top of that, if you do race to the bottom, you do pay for the cheapest coverage. That IT company that does that will in turn probably have cheap staff, which means they're not skilled, they don't care, and they're just there for they're on minimum wage, whatever it may be, and they're just there to get the job done. They come in, get finished, get paid, and they're off. They don't care about the clients, don't have the expertise to keep you covered or even get your business up and running. And it then turns into a horrible snowball effect, because people, you buy cheap, you buy twice basically. And those companies that are raised to the bottom, their clients are always the highest demanding and the angriest ones. So it's just, and I've been in a company like that, and it's just chaos on inside, and it's not a good place to work. And again, I can tell you lots of horror stories about things like that, but I'll save that for another day.
I mean, that's the reason that we don't mention about price on the directorschoice.com, because we want to make sure that people are using choose the partners that we've got because of the service that you can offer for those exact reasons, Josh, because I do think mindset is changing, and people realize that the cheapest isn't the best anymore, and it's not, you almost get what you pay for nowadays. But by not mentioning price, somebody sees you on the platform and engages with you because of the service that you say you offer, the service you've previously offered other clients. And then once they've spoken to you, they realize that they're going to get a return on their investment. So they go in with a totally different mindset, rather than, oh, it's only £15, this is what we can do and this is what's going to cost. And I think business owners and businesses as a whole are turning that around, and they want to know what they're going to get rather than how much it's going to cost them, the benefit.
No, of course. And you use the word there, investment, which you don't really hear that often. But when you do bring in a supplier or a partner, you are essentially invested in your business in a way. And same with IT. Everyone uses IT. Imagine if we didn't have computers and internet during COVID. I don't know what would happen.
I remember faxing CVs.
There you go. You're a lot older than me. I don't mess with the fax machine. But my point is you don't invest in technology, then you're not going to get by. And unfortunately, we're in a digital world. And like I say, you buy it cheap, you buy it twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, staying connected. This is really obvious. I think we've covered it as well, so I won't go into crazy detail. We'll move past this quite quickly. But I think we've all had those moments where, for some reason, the mystical world of Wi-Fi is betraying us. It's just really crucial that you have the right type of connection, whether you need a line in the ground or whether you need the box in the corner. It's got to be what's right for you guys, and it's got to be really crucial, I think, to be online at all times when you're working, so that you can stay connected to everyone. I mean, look, I won't go into crazy detail about that. I think it's really obvious. We've got to keep everyone on board nowadays because of the business world we live in. Now, this is something that's quite interesting. As a company, something that we do is, on our screens, we have our clients' connectivity. So we can see your Wi-Fi going up and down. And if it's getting critical, we get a little alert, so we can shoot it rather, and solve it before you go offline. I think it's something that's starting to happen more and more in the IT industry. And it's something that you can actually have set up yourself, so you can monitor it yourselves, which again is really important. Just if you work in the kind of industry where having a drop in internet could be really crucial for a call you're on, or for a project you're running, or something that's about to go live, then you need to make sure that you're being proactive about it, not reactive, basically.
Yeah, and being proactive, that's very key, because that's what keeps your business up and running. I always say this to everyone, if you're calling Sonar IT every day, that means we're not doing our job. You should never call us. And I was going to use an example of, I'm sitting in the office and you'll never hear the phone ring, but the sales line keeps ringing. So apologies if you did hear that. But I always say, because we're so proactive, I think we've got 15 tickets open at the moment. I actually sent everyone home early yesterday. because everything was up to date. Obviously, we were 24/7, so if anyone called, they'd have to jump on it. But there was essentially nothing really to do. And I don't mean that in the sense there's always something to do, but I mean it in the sense that, you know, we've done all our work and everything's up to date, we've been proactive. So you'll have the afternoon off, guys, and, you know, be there if we need you. And then I went and took my mum out for lunch, and oh, there you go, phone line ringing. But in a different workplace, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Sales as well.
Yeah, it's sales, it's not support, I promise.
Just so you can see.
But yeah, you get my point.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, you know, for business owners to think about, you know, that you don't necessarily need somebody in-house to do your IT. It's a greater investment for them to pay a company like Sonar IT to cover all of their IT. So when there is downtime, you're only paying really for what you need someone to do, and you're not paying a salary for somebody to sit in an office and almost, you know, twiddling their thumbs at time, because, you know, there isn't IT issues all the time. There isn't something to do with IT all of the time, unless you get somebody who can do development and support and, you know, infrastructure and everything. And then you'd have to pay a high salary. So outsourcing to a company like yourselves would actually help keep costs down rather than bringing somebody in-house to do it.
Oh, 100%. We're typically half the price of an IT department. I mean, if you do hire internally, you need to get an IT manager, which is probably 60 to 100K, and then he can't do everything. And if you ask him to go and plug your computer on, you're kind of being rude to what he's achieved in his life. Then you have to have IT staff. And then you've got to deal with annual leave, sickness, pensions, and all that stuff that comes with hiring employees. But if you outsource it to a company like ours, or outsource it to us, we're half the price with 24/7. You get a whole team, and we have different departments. We've got a network operations center that does the proactive side of it, keeping everything up to date. Then we've got a security operations center that keeps everyone secure, constantly going through everyone's platforms, making sure they're locked down, keeping them up to date. And you just can't get that. You can if you're, an enterprise, but if you're a small to medium business, that would be ludicrous and probably bankrupt you. So for a fraction of the cost, you get a whole IT department.
Absolutely.
Or it's my bit.
Yeah, we're going to hand over to Joshua Bevis now, and this is something we're happy to send people as just a sheet as well. Because I know you mentioned earlier, Sam, that it's sometimes even difficult to see whether an email is authentic or not, and if you're busy, you can be fooled by a really good one. So this little sheet here, and we can even do this as a post on the Director's Choice forum if you want, is just for anyone that kind of needs to, be looking out for something like this.
Yeah, so Sam mentioned that we do a lot of user awareness training because a lot of breaches are user-based, and it's just down to, silly mistakes. As you say, you're tired, you're stressed, or, you're none the wiser. You don't know what you don't know at the end of the day, right? So this is just a small snippet of the kind of training we provide. We do a lot of surveys and videos alongside that. But this is, a short slide about better email hygiene. So if you have a look, as you can see, there's usually a generic greeting. So on the left at the top, it says all, doesn't say hi, Josh. The reason it's usually generic is, as I said earlier, it's all about automation. So they've probably sent that email to thousands of people at once. So, they can customize it. To be honest, it's not hard to do, but then they've got to have a database and things like that. So it's a lot easier to just make it generic. Usually you can check the from email. So if you double click the display names where it says human resources, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving around, but where it says human resources here, that's what we call a display name, but the actual email is hidden behind that. So if you double click human resources, you'll see the email address. Usually it's a bogus email, and that's a key indicator right there. Anyone can change the display name. I can change my name to Sam Gittins if I wanted to, or to Matt Colton, and then go around emailing. There's nothing you can do to stop me. But you check the email, and that's usually a good indicator, as I say. And then in the context of the email, there's always some sort of urgency. You need to do this today, you need to do this ASAP, and it's always very demanding, sometimes actually quite aggressive. And I'm not expecting people to have done this, but if you ever email them back to wind them up, I sometimes do it when I'm bored. They get very angry very quickly. So you can figure it out. And then have a look at all the links. So if you hover over a hyperlink, it usually comes up with what we call a tooltip, I believe. and it'll tell you the address, or you can copy it, put it in a notepad, and it'll tell you if it's the right address or not. Or if you work with Sonar IT, you can just click it, because your computer is so secure, it doesn't really matter. It won't open the website, and if it did, it'd lock everything that it's downloaded. And then have a look at any misspellings. Typically, these emails are rushed. As I say, they're generic. I don't think most of the people are usually in Russia or Ukraine, or Asia, so English isn't their first language. Don't get me wrong, that's not always the case. This is just one of the points. So always have a look for any misspellings, incorrect grammar, odd phrasing. And then going back to checking the links, if it's not HTTPS, which you'll know because it will come up green on the website, and it'll also have a little padlock. The S stands for secure, I believe. Just don't go on that website. That should be the rule of thumb for any website, to be fair. And also, if you're in doubt, just delete it. If you're not expecting an email from human resources, and then you read it and it's nothing to do with you, or it sounds a bit dodgy, just delete it. If it's that important, they'll come back to you, right? So don't click on any attachments. Review the email, go through all the steps you've just gone through, and you can always ask a colleague to see if it's dodgy or not. And again, if you work with Sonar IT, just forward it to the guys on support. They'll tell you straight away.
Look at that. Not quite 20 seconds, Josh. You're a little bit longer there, but yeah.
Sorry, I really enjoy I really enjoy my job. I waffle so much.
I love it. Love it. Well, listen, that's it. We're just going to put a very subtle little, oh God, we're very good at our jobs, aren't we? No, thank you so much for listening, everyone. As you're all partners of Director's Choice, if you do ever just want a little bit of free advice, just let us know. We're always happy to have a little chat. It's something that we're quite passionate about, and whether you're a client of ours or not, we always think it's good to help people out when it comes to things like security. And yeah, any questions, we're going to get our contact details out to everyone, I think, and come back to them.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I mean, I learned a lot from that, especially the last slide. If you could definitely send that over, because I think a lot of people would find that really, really useful, because it really is sort of like a Peter and Jane guide to, again, showing my age there, Josh. I don't know if there's still Peter and Jane books in school, but, very layman's terms, very easy to understand, some very quick points that anybody could do. And, once you're alerted to what you need to be looking for, it becomes a lot easier for you to pick it up as that falls into your inbox. So thank you so much. Obviously, if you've got any questions, you can get in touch with Sam or Josh directly. They're on LinkedIn. You can do it through Sonar IT. You can do it through their own profiles. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the directorschoice.com now. Now, Josh, do I need to be made host to share my screen? I
believe you will do.
And will it keep recording?
Should do. It's a very good question for the IT guy. I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Right, let's have a look.
No, it still says recording. That's great. So
I haven't made you host yet. 1 second.
Okay.
I don't actually use Zoom. I use Teams. So bear with me.
So if you just click next to my name, there should be like 3 dots.
Oh, there you go. I was miles off.
Yeah.
There you go. Is that still recorded? Yes, it is. There you go.
Perfect. So let me go. Here we go. So, come on. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, like I said, thank you so much, Sonar IT, for that presentation. As you can probably see from everything that they explained, the reason that we are partnered with Sonar IT is because they genuinely are great guys. They genuinely want to help their customers and other customers. And that is very much the ethos of directorschoice.com. We are here to support business owners. And one of the ways that we can do that is through our partners like Sonar IT. I love the fact that it's the no jargon, the plain English, the fact that you want to work with your clients, and it's not just, as you said, about taking the 15, 20, 75 pound, however much it is from them, and doing the bare minimum. You want to help people grow their businesses, and you want to support them with their businesses. And that to us as a platform is really, really important. And as I said, I've taken a lot from that. The fact that you do the 1 month for free as well gets people to see what you can provide for them before they sign on that dotted line, which, you know, is a very generous offer of you, and you're obviously very confident in the service that you provide, that once people are with you for that month, that they're not then going to move. So thank you again, thank you so much. So just to tell you a little bit about the directorschoice.com and who we are. So any business owners out there, you have probably set up your business because you're passionate about a product or service. So Josh was obviously very passionate about IT. Very strange that anybody would be, in my opinion, but obviously somebody has to be. But yeah, very passionate about product or service. And you know how to run your business, but do you know how to run a company? And when I say that, you know, do you know how to do your accounts? Do you know how to do your IT? Do you know how to run your HR? Do you know anything about legals? Do you know where to go for funding? You know, there's a lot that goes into running a company. And unfortunately, if you can't run a successful company, then you aren't going to have a successful business. It is going to suffer. So we are here to support you, to help you, and to guide business owners. So we've got everything you need to start a business, to grow a business, or sustain a business. We do all the hard work by bringing everything you need all into one place. So how do we do this? So we do this through lots of different ways. Oh, go back. So we do this through our blogs, which are here. So the blogs are, and Sonar IT have provided blogs to us. So this is where you can go for that guidance and support. We cover absolutely everything from IT to how do I pay my bounce back loan to top 5 tips for SEO campaigns. So there's lots of golden nuggets there that you might need for your business. We've then got our useful downloads. So these work in the same way as the blogs do, but they are a little bit more in depth. And on there you will see which company has provided all of that information for you. So again, you can go and have a look at the company yourself if you want to do a little bit of an investigation about them. We have our forum, which Sam mentioned earlier. So this works in the same way as, you know, forums work for consumers as well. So this is an area where you can go and talk about anything to do with business. So that might be something about cybersecurity. That might be something about COVID's affected your business. That might be, I'm going to a networking event in Birmingham and I need a hotel. Can anyone recommend it? It doesn't have to be about all the serious stuff. It's about fun stuff, and it gives you an opportunity, especially if you're a sole business owner, to engage with other business owners and widen your support network. We've then got latest news, which is exactly what it says it is. So we make sure that on the platform, you know, any relevant articles that are in out at the moment are there for you to refer to. So again, that's what makes us the one-stop platform. We cover absolutely everything. You don't have to go to lots of different platforms to find out this information. We've also then got our comparison area of the platform. And this is what makes us genuinely different to so many other platforms out there. So we cover absolutely everything you need for your business. Everything you might need to compare, you can compare it on our platform. So say you were looking for an accountant, you would simply click the accountant tab, you select, you put your postcode in, what type of accountancy service you need, and you then get presented with a panel. And on the left-hand side here, you can use those filters to make it very specific to what you need for your business. We've got reviews on there, we've got unique selling points, and we've got very in-depth profiles. Those 3 education points will help you find the right IT company, the right accountant, the right HR company, you know, anything you need, but you're finding the right one for you, and it's your choice who you choose. We've then finally got our mental health area. So as I touched on, you know, owning your own business can be really, really lonely. You might have a network around you that you can talk to, but do you really have somebody that you want to sort of share those sensitive subjects with? Maybe you don't want to go home and talk to your partner or your dog or your cat or, you know, or your business partner. You know, one of our mental health practitioners will speak to you and they will talk through issues with you. And once you've done that, you know, you can then move forward in your business. It can be a lonely place. And as I keep saying, we are here to support you. So that is the directorschoice.com. If anybody's got any questions, again, you can get directly in touch with me. But I think that's everything for now, unless you've got anything you want to say, guys.
Thanks for having us as always.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem, no problem. Well, I'm going to put this out on all social media platforms. So if anybody wants to revisit, you know, have a look, you know, recap, make notes. I made plenty of notes. So yeah, it's great to have you on board. It's great to have you partnered with us, and hopefully we can do something else in the future.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sam.
Have Have a great day, everybody. Thank
Cheers,
you.
bye.
Bye.